Welcome to video lecture 2.4.2b, where we're discussing the light-dependent reactions that happen during photosynthesis. Remember that in the overview we gave the overall equation for photosynthesis. 6 carbon dioxide molecules plus 6 water molecules plus energy that we get from the sun yields us a glucose molecule, which is labeled here as organic matter. This is glucose, or some sort of sugar, and 6 oxygen molecules, which is a byproduct, and we use as plants, sorry about that, byproduct. And the plants are going to get rid of the oxygen. This should be an I. Alright, so we also said that this was a combination of many reactions that happen within the chloroplast of photosynthesis. So here we have both the light-dependent reactions and the light-independent reactions. And we're going to be using different parts of this equation in the two sets of reactions. Today we are going to talk about the light-dependent reactions. We also discussed that the photosynthesis is split into these two different sets of reactions. The light-dependent reactions take place within the thylakoid, and the light-independent reactions take place in the stroma. So today's topic is the light-dependent reactions. They are called the light-dependent reactions because these reactions require light. These require light. And we can see the light coming down here into the thylakoid. During this set of reactions, the goal is to produce ATP and electron carriers. So here's my ATP and here are my electron carriers. The NADPH and the ATP are going to be used in the second set of reactions. It is important to realize that there are many different types of electron carriers involved. In this reaction and others involved in other reactions within our bodies or within organisms. But for us, the one that you need to know is NADP, turning into NADPH. If we were to zoom in on the thylakoid membranes, we could see two sets of chlorophyll and enzymes called photosystems. So here is photosystem 2, and then here's photosystem 1. These sets are going to work together during the light-dependent reaction. The first is called photosystem 2, also known as PS2. And the second is called photosystem 1, or PS1. When light is absorbed by the photosystems, electrons in the chlorophyll or other pigments are excited to a higher energy level. They're going to shake around and they're going to move up, get more energy into a higher energy level. And then that higher energy level electron is going to be passed along a series of electron carriers, and we can see the electron carriers here. They're going to be passed along, and what we call these electron carriers is the electron transport chain. So you can kind of imagine this being the train track here, and our electrons are going to move along that train track. So it's the electron transport chain. We can go ahead and put that in here, electron transport chain. Sometimes I will use the abbreviation ETC, which means electron transport chain. In photosystem 2, the loss of electrons is going to split the water. So we have our 2 water molecules here. We're going to split those into 4 hydrogen ions and oxygen. This oxygen is going to be given off as waste. That's our byproduct. This is waste for the plant. And that oxygen is going to go into the atmosphere. so that we can breathe. The electrons that we get are going to go into the photosystem, and those electrons are going to be passed from one enzyme to another. So here's our electron transport chain. We're going to go from one enzyme or electron carrier to another. Each time they move to a different carrier, we're going to lose a little bit of energy. So this electron right here is going to be have a little bit less energy than this one. All right, so as we move this way, we're going to lose energy in our electron. The energy is going to be used to pump hydrogen ions through the membrane. So we see the hydrogen ions here. We're going to pump hydrogen ions through the membrane. So this is kind of like a hydrogen ion pump. We're using the energy from those high energy electrons to pump hydrogen through. These ions will later be used to produce ATP, and we'll get to that in a couple of minutes. Once we get all the way through our electron transport chain in photosystem 2, then our electron here is going to be transferred to photosystem 1. Excuse me. In photosystem 1, we are going to have more light energy come down, and we're going to excite those electrons again. All right, so we had light in photosystem 2. It's not going to light up, but then my light is going to work in photosystem 1 here. We're going to get more light, and that's going to excite this electron here. All right, so a little excitement there to excite that electron. So I zoomed out a little bit. We're going to excite that electron, and we're going to go through the second portion of the electron transport chain. The electrons, again, are passed from enzyme to enzyme, losing energy with each step. This time, the energy is going to be used to pass the electrons on to our carrier molecule, our NAD+ molecule. NAD+ is going to pick up those electrons plus a couple of hydrogens and become NADPH. While all this is happening, we also are going to take those hydrogens that we pumped in during photosystem 2, and we're going to pump them back out using what we call ATP synthase. That is an enzyme that helps us make ATP. So we're going to use ATP synthase to change ADP in a phosphate group into ATP. And this is called photophosphorylation because we're using light, or hence the photo, light energy to make this ATP. So this is called photophosphorylation. L-A-T-I-O-N. Photophosphorylation. This all happens within our thylakoid, and remember we have many thylakoids within our chloroplast all doing this. So to finish up here, we've got during the light independent reactions, or excuse me, the light dependent reactions, plants are going to use water. All right, we're going to use water and energy from the sun to excite our electrons so that we can make, on the other side here, we're going to make ATP and NADPH. These are going to be passed along into the stroma so that we can do our second set of reactions called the light-independent reactions. Now while we're using this stuff, remember that our oxygen here is being given off as a byproduct. Alright, so we're using H2O, we're using the sun's energy, we're releasing oxygen, and we're going to make ATP and NADPH. In the next video, we're going to talk about the light-independent reactions, and we're going to use these things that we made here so that we can combine carbon dioxide molecules to produce high energy sugars. We'll see you all next time.